Hey everyone. So, I want you guys to really get an idea of who I am. And that doesn't just include like talking about all the good things about you or talking about all the good stuff that happens because all of us have bad days. And some of us have things that we struggle with like, depression and anxiety or, like sicknesses and stuff like that. That's even though we may not like those things, they still define us in some way. So I do have depression and anxiety, but I'm not going to talk about that today. Today I'm going to talk about something that I've struggled with for a long time. It's called trichotillomania. Now, it's considered common, but honestly, it's a very low percentage of the population. In fact, when I was growing up, I truly did not believe that there were other people who did the same thing as me until I was a little older. Now, don't mind me, I've got my little notes here. The past few videos that I've made, I have basically kind of gone by the seat of my pants, and I've noticed that I've been kind of leaving things out. So I tried to read about like different ways to keep track of what you want to do. Most of the resources say, hey, make a little mini script. So if I sit here for a minute and it looks like I'm a little sidetracked, it's because I'm trying to go by my little script. See, got my little script. Okay, so yes, I have trichotillomania. I've had it since I was 8 years old, and I'm currently 31. Now, I'll give you the definition of what trichotillomania is, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know what it is. And it is, actual definition, a disorder that involves recurrent, irresistible urges to pull out body hair. And then trichophagia is very closely related, which also includes like hair eating, and that's in like all kinds of different variants. Everyone's trichotillomania is different for whoever has it. It's all different. It's different parts of the body. It may or may not involve trichophagia, and the trichophagia might even be different for every person. Let's see. So I started when I was 8, and what had happened was it was kind of an accident. When you know how sometimes your hair will naturally come out on its own because new hair is coming in or whatever, and you know how like you've got your girlfriend and you're constantly pulling hair out of the bathtub and everything and out of your hairbrush. So hair will naturally come out. And when I was younger, it used to bug me because I'd constantly find hair on me. So what I would do is I would just grab my hair and I would do this to try and catch the hair before it would come loose so it wouldn't be all over the place and I could just throw the hair away. Now, I don't know what happened, but at some point it went from that to me actually managing to pull hard enough that a hair came out. And I noticed that the feeling felt really good. And then at some point, it went from here I am just running my hands through my hair to oops, I accidentally pulled one out, to it makes me feel better when I'm stressed. I don't remember when that connection was made. So there were 3 times in my life where I had like a breakout. It hasn't been like a whole life thing. As you can see, I've got a nice head of hair right now. Sans this one spot right here. I'll show it to you. It's kind of hard to see, but you see how there's a little less? This is permanent damage from the second time that I started pulling my hair out when I was in my early 20s. It honestly kind of has me a little teared up because I used to have my hair right down the middle, and most of my friends will notice I usually have my hair parted to the side because, as you can see, that hides that spot really well. And I've always wondered about what things I can do to make that better. But I digress. Let's pull it back. So, there were 3 times in my life that it happened. When I was 8, and during that time, I was being bullied a lot. I felt very alone. I didn't have any brothers or sisters. I was an only kid. So, I learned to just keep to myself a lot because I didn't like to burden anyone with my problems. Now, granted, there was a lot of stuff going on in my family. I won't go into it, but sometimes things happen and it's stressful. I was never harmed, but I'm just saying that sometimes, in your family, everyone's different. Everyone has different views. Some people are strict, some people aren't. And some people just butt heads. And I witnessed some of that when my mother was married to this one man who wasn't exactly the best person, and it stressed me out. So here I am, I'm feeling alone. I don't feel like there's anyone I can go to. And it was just, I needed some kind of relief. Now, I am a nail biter, as you can see, but I was getting to the point where I was biting my nails so bad that my fingers were bleeding. And so when this started and it felt good, and I was like, oh, that's really nice, I started to stick to this instead of biting my nails till they bled. But of course, the problem is the more you pull, of course, the more noticeable it's going to be. You're going to start gaining those bald spots. So I don't know how I stopped, but at some point I was probably about 12-ish, maybe 11 or 12. And somehow I just stopped. I don't know why. Maybe things were getting better at that time. And, I felt like I could control my stress levels a lot better. So let's see. What do we got here? Hold on. Yeah, I also had very low self-esteem, and the hair pulling did not help it because it made me more of a target to the other kids. So that still didn't quite help. So the evolution of the whole, oh, I'm doing it because I'm trying to get the loose hair out, to pulling, I started getting the bald spots. And my family tried to help me. They took me to a couple therapists, hoping to find some way to fix the problem. And back then, not a lot of people knew about trichotillomania. I don't even think it had a name yet, to my knowledge. And nobody knew what to do. And I don't blame them. That's something very weird to deal with when you've never seen something like that before, and you're at a loss of words. If you've never been taught how to deal with something like that, it's hard to deal with it and go by the cusp of your sleeve and come up with this way to help this child who's basically causing her own baldness. So, I tried really, really hard to stop, and what's really weird is even after the hair pulling, I tried pulling eyebrows and eyelashes out. Now, I used to have pretty thick eyelashes. I don't know if you can see that, but they're a lot thinner now. And if I pull on them just a smidge too hard, like if you get something in your eye and I go like this and I pinch to get it out, if I pull too hard, all that eyelashes will come out. So I have to be very gentle with my eyebrows and eyelashes because they'll just come out on their own now. So I tried that because I was trying so hard not to cause any more problems with the hair pulling up here, and it didn't work. It just caused more problems because, oh my gosh, now I'm doing other things, and I can't imagine what kind of stress I put my family under. And I wish I could, go back and tell them, hey, it's okay. It happens. You didn't do anything wrong specifically. It's they even say that it's genetic. Sometimes it can be genetic and it just happens. And I'm sorry, I'm tearing up just a little bit. It's okay. So, at one time I remembered trying to pull leg hairs out because I was like, well, I know when I'm older I'm going to have to shave anyway, so maybe that's a way to fix it. I did not like that. It hurt way too much. Anyway, moving on to later on in my life, I ended up moving to Texas to live with a boyfriend at the time. And, things went well for a little while, and at some point I felt out of control. You know what I mean? Like where, everything in your life is out of your hands, everything is not going quite the way you want it, and there's literally nothing you can do to fix it at that moment. That's basically what was happening to me. Nothing was in my hands. It just felt like everything was spiraling out of control, and I was stuck dealing with whatever was given to me, and the only form of control I had was to pull my hair out. Now, I did attempt at that time to personally go get help. I went to a therapist. In Texas, they have this great program. It's about the best as you can do when you don't have any money. It was a free mental health care facility that would give you free medication. They would talk to you for a few minutes, try to figure out what you needed. It wasn't the best, though. And talking to them didn't help because you'd only be there for a few minutes and they would just throw medicine at the problem. But when you need medicine, sometimes that's what you gotta do. So I don't remember what the medication was, but the therapist lady or counselor or whatever she was gave me this medication. I think it was like gabapentin or something like that. It's supposed to help the urge, the compulsiveness to pull or bite or whatever, to bring it down a couple notches. And believe it or not, the medicine was working. But there was one little problem. Every time that I was at work, I would zone off. I wouldn't be mentally there. And my boss even asked me, "Are you okay?" And then quite a few times, I was driving down the road and my hands would just literally stop working altogether, and I would careen towards the edge of the highway or whatever, and it would scare the ever-loving, excuse my French, shit out of me. And I quit that cold turkey because the last thing I wanted was to die. I would rather pull my hair out than take a medication that causes me to have an accident. So I quit taking that, and I was taking Prozac at the time, but that wasn't really helping either. I had already stopped taking the Prozac because I was having other issues, but I had stopped taking that, but I don't think that was the reason that caused me to restart. It was just a mixture of a bunch of different things. So anytime that I actually had that happen, when I'd have the spots, I'd always try to cover it up. I wouldn't own it. I would try to hide it because I was so ashamed with myself. So I remember I would wear bandanas all the time. That was my way to hide because I usually pulled right here. So it was easy to put a bandana right here and you couldn't see it. So at some point I had actually tried to reach out to a group, like a website. I can't even remember the website it is anymore, but the group had this thing where they would assign you a person and y'all could talk and, have a little support system from somebody else going through the same thing. So they gave me this person's email and I tried emailing them and they just never contacted me. I felt so alone. I felt, okay, I understood that there was others with Trick out there, but I just felt utterly alone. I didn't have anyone in my life who could understand. And I had so many people "Oh, well, just stop because you can." And I'm like, but it's compulsive. It is one of the hardest things to stop, especially when it feels good when you do it. And it relieves that stress that you have. So now, like I said, I'm 31 now. So the first time it was 8. Second time was mid-20s. 5 years later, here we are, and I don't understand what's wrong because I feel like I have a lot of control in my life right now. And I think I'm just stressed because I'm trying so hard to finish school. I have these high expectations of myself. And just one day out of the blue, I had an extra stressful day and I started pulling again. And I'm terrified. I don't want to get so far into it again that I'm sorry, that I'm bald again. And when it started happening again, I actually reached out to this great group. They're awesome. And I will leave a description down in the description. I can't talk. I will leave information down in the description of the actual group. I've been in there for a couple weeks, and my God, the people there are absolutely wonderful. And I actually have people to talk to about it. And they give like ideas of how they deal with it. They actually own it up and say, here, look, this is what I've done and this is what I'm trying to do to fix it. And I think it's like a wonderful thing to actually have other people to talk to about it. So right now what I'm doing is between talking to the group and doing arts and crafts, and the biggest thing for me is pen paling because I can keep both my hands busy. I'm doing everything I possibly can to stop, and I want anyone out there to know that if you're feeling lonely, if you have Trich, you know someone who has Trich, and you need someone to talk to, feel free to message me. I'm here. I will give you the information to this penpal, the Trich group, along with the penpal group if you think that might help you. I really appreciate y'all being here and listening to me because I think this is something important. You know, the whole point in YouTube is not, you know, we're here to share things. You know, not just, you know, being funny or to make entertainment. Sometimes you just need personal connection with people. And I think it's important to know where people are coming from. And I thank you very much for listening to my Trichotillomania story. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I have no problems with answering questions. I always appreciate a subscribe, and you guys have a great day.